Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students, in this video aided constructions, I am going to talk about important points related to phonetics and phonology. Well, the first point is a place of articulation. I'm going to talk about the different places of articulation, and then I'm going to move to another important feature that is voice and voiceless. We will study airstream mechanism, and the status of the vocal cords. And point number 3 is aspiration and aspiration. And point number 4, a clear la and dark la. And number 5, some issues related to spelling and pronunciation. And the last point, we will finish with flab, trill, and retroflex. I'm going into these important issues into some kind of details. Okay. A place of articulation. I'm repeating this because these issues, or the issue related to place of articulation, is of a great importance to students. Okay, we have the lips. The lips, bilabial, we have bilabials. Bilabials. What is a bilabial sound? A bilabial sound is produced by pressing the two lips together, or when the two lips come together or come into contact. We have these bilabial sounds, p and p and m. I try to say people, you see the two lips are pressed against one another. Okay, the lower lip and the upper lip come into contact. And we have p, and the word black, beep, and we have the word man, man. Okay, so the two lips come into contact. Okay. Number 2, labiodental. Labiodental. Okay. What is a labiodental? A labiodental is a sound produced when the lower lip goes up to touch the upper teeth. I try to say the and fa. The and fa. You see that the lower lip touches the upper teeth. You see the fa. As you see, the lower lip and the lower teeth go up and down on sideways, but the upper teeth and upper lip are fixed. They are not movable. So we have the and we have the. So once again, fa and the are labiodentals. So once again, the lower lip and the upper teeth are involved in producing or articulating the and fa. Okay, now we have dentals, or some people call them interdentals. Try to say th. This is th sound. Th. Th. Think. And we have the. So, what is an interdental? Okay, you see that the tip of the tongue comes between the lower and upper teeth. The. You insert the tip of the tongue between your teeth. So, th and the. Okay, and now we have alveolars. We have alveolars or alveolars. Okay, try to say the, ta, na, sa, za, la. When you articulate the sa and za, you will feel, you will notice, you will observe that the tip of the tongue is pressed against the alveolar ridge. Okay. in, is, il, and sometimes ra, sometimes ra. So we have ta, da, na, sa, za, la, and ra. But remember, the ra sound is not always alveolar. It can be trill, it can be flap, and it can be retroflex. Number 5, belated. What is a belated sound? What is a belated sound? A belated sound is produced when the blade of the tongue touches the hard palate. That's why we call it belated. So we have the blade of the tongue or the front of the tongue touching the hard palate. Try to say ya, e, ya, e. You will feel that the front or the blade of your tongue touches the hard palate. Ya, 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 okay? And then we have number 6, we have belated, alveolars. We have belated alveolars. A belated alveolar sound looks like a belated, but with a slight difference. Okay, when we say this is sha, and we have itch, and we have j, and we have idge, we have idge. When I say itch, you will feel that the front of the tongue touches the area next to the alveolar ridge, or I would say the beginning of the hard palate. Sha, itch, itch. So it looks like a belated sound. So there will be no problem if you call sha and itch and ja and edge belated sounds. Ish, ish, and edge. Once again, you will feel that the front of your tongue touches what? The beginning of the hard palate. Then we have velar sounds. Velars. Okay. Try to say ig, ga, and ka, and ig, ik. This is a stop sound, and this is another stop sound. This is nasal. Okay, what happens when I say g, ik, ing? You will find that the back of your tongue is raised to embrace, to touch the velum or the soft palate. Right? So ga, ka, and ing. Okay, and then we have the last articulator, that is glottal. That is a glottal. Okay. Okay, what is a glottal sound? A glottal sound is produced at the glottis. At the glottis. Okay, we have ha, ha, and we have this sound. It looks like al-hamza in Arabic. So a glottal sound is produced, is manufactured at the glottis. So just to sum up with this point, I would say that the mouth or the oral cavity looks like a factory. A factory full of different machines. And each machine produces a specific products or goods. Why is the mouth like a machine? Like a machine, why? Why? Because it produces lots of different goods. I would say this is a product, a product. So we have different products. Okay. Bilabials, we have the lips. Okay, labiodental, we have the lower lip and the upper teeth. Dentals, we have the upper and lower teeth. Alveolars, the tip of the tongue and the alveolar ridge. Okay, palatals, we have the front or the bed of the tongue and the hard palate. And palato-alveolars, we have the front of the tongue, or sometimes the middle of the tongue, and the area next to the alveolar ridge or the beginning of the hard palate. And then we have velars, okay, the back of the tongue and the soft palate. The back of the tongue, this is the active articulator, and the velum is the passive articulator. In this case, palatal, okay, the hard palate is a passive articulator. Okay, glottal, okay, the glottis, okay. This is all about a place of articulation. But there is an important point that I want to talk about, which is the right sound. Okay. If you say, well, I'm not going to talk about this in details. If you say the word irregular, it's not reasonable to say that the ra sound is alveolar. No, it's not alveolar at all, because when you say irregular, you feel that the tip of your tongue goes back a little and touches the beginning of the hard palate. So in this case, the ra is not alveolar. Okay. If you say the word car, ladder, mainly in American English, car, you will feel that the tip of your tongue is scaled back to touch the end of the hard palate. So this can be a retroflex, this can be a trill, irregular, okay, and this can be retroflex, okay? And now swiftly moving on to another important feature, that is voice and voiceless. English consonants can be voiced or voiceless. Okay, what is a voice sound? A voice sound is produced when the vocal cords vibrate. A voiceless sound, on the other hand, is produced when there is no vibration. I mean, the vocal cords do not vibrate when producing a voiceless consonant. Okay. The shape of the vocal cords is significant, when it comes to the feature of voiced and voiceless and voiceless. Okay. So when the vocal cords are held together, the air can't pass freely, so the air stream forces its way through the vocal cords, causing them to vibrate, hence a voice consonant is produced. Okay, so we have the, na, la, wa, ya, ra, ja, ij, Okay, okay, the. Okay. These sounds are called voiced consonants because during their articulations, the vocal cords vibrate. But the question is, why do the vocal cords vibrate during the production of these consonants? The answer is very simple, because the vocal cords are held tight together. They are not set apart, so they are held together like this. So when the air passes, it can go through easily. So it forces its way. Causing through the vocal cords, causing them to vibrate. When you place your finger at Adam's apple, when you say if, you will feel that it is moving. Or you just, once again, place both of your hands to your ear and say if, you feel there is a kind of echo. Okay, so these are produced with vibration. On the other hand, if you say okay, if try to say Adam apple doesn't move. Say Adam apple doesn't move or is not moving. Say if Adam apple doesn't move. Okay, Adam apple doesn't move. Try to say if the situation is different. And edge. So this is voiceless, because the articulation of these consonants do not require the vocal cords to vibrate. Okay. Ing, this is voiced, this is voiceless. So you will find that voiced consonants are much greater in number than voiceless sounds, voiceless consonants, okay? So the only thing that you should take into consideration when describing consonants in terms of voiced and voiceless is that the vocal cords vibrate during the production of these consonants. On the other hand, the vocal cords do not vibrate when producing these sounds. I mean, these sounds, voiced consonants, and these ones are called voiceless sounds. Okay. And now we will move to the next point, that is the feature of aspiration and unaspiration, or aspirated or unaspirated. But before I explain what is meant by aspiration or aspirated sounds and unaspirated sounds, I feel that it is of a great importance to differentiate between two things. Phoneme and allophone. Okay. So what is a phoneme? What is an allophone? A phoneme, as you recall, is the smallest unit of sound. It is the smallest sound unit. If I say the word cat, cat has three phonemes or three sounds, ka and it, cat. So this is a phoneme. This is a phoneme. So the word cat has three phonemes or three different sounds. But what is an allophone? An allophone is the slightly different pronunciation of the same phoneme. In Arabic, we have the phoneme qa. Okay, if I said the word qalam, some people say kalam, some people say alam, okay, and so on. So whether it is alam, qalam, kalam, This is an allophone, so this is the slight different pronunciation of the word allophone, right? It doesn't matter. In English language, an allophone is the different realization of the same phoneme. Okay, try to take these sounds, ta and ka and p. Ka, ta, and p. Okay, what is important about these three consonants? This is voiceless, voiceless, voiceless. These voiceless consonants is that when they have initial position, when the, ka, ta, and p come initially, I mean when they have an initial position, when they come at the beginning of the word or a syllable, they are aspirated. So when the cat and ba come initially, they are aspirated. So they are aspirated. So once again, when these three voiceless consonants have an initial position in a word or in a syllable, they become aspirated, which means they are produced or articulated with a strong puff of air. Here are some examples. We have the word tip and tap, top. Okay, and here we have pool. Okay, a pen, and okay, here we have kite, cool, and kill. So you see, the T has an initial position, the P has an initial position, and the K has an initial position. Just follow me. So these are aspirated sounds. Okay, try to say tap, tap, tip, kill, cool, cool, pull, pack, pin, tin. You see that there is a strong puff of air. That's why the paper moves. Okay? On the other hand, if these three voiceless consonants come after the voiceless s, they become unaspirated. So there is no strong puff of air. Okay, so here we have, when they come after the voiceless s, they become unaspirated. This is a very important feature that you should take into consideration. We say, okay, number one, step, speak, skull. Okay, we are going to do some observation. Step, speak. So the paper is not moving. Skill. But notice here, tip, pull, kite. Okay, whether you say tip or tip, so we have the same phoneme. So whether you produce this with a puff of air or without a puff of air, it's the same. It doesn't change the meaning of the word. It doesn't create a new word. Whether you say a step or a step, it's all the same. This is all about the feature of aspiration and unaspiration. Okay, so this is aspirated, this is unaspirated. Okay, now I'm softly moving on to another important phonological topic or point, last sound. If you remember, we said that the last sound is alveolar sound because it is produced when the tip of the tongue touches the alveolar ridge. Okay. The last sound actually has two cases, and if I see two cases, then two different places of articulation. Try to follow me. Okay, if I say light, and little, okay, and I will say lamp, okay, and okay, brittle, okay, brittle, okay, light, little, lamp, okay. Light, you will feel that the tip of your tongue touches the alveolar ridge because this is an initial position. When we say little, focus on the second la, little. You will feel that the tip of your tongue goes back to touch the end of the hard palate, okay? So this is can't be alveolar because your tongue makes a movement, a different movement from the la in the initial position. Lamp, brittle, try to say brittle. You will find that the tip of your tongue goes back. So once again, if the la comes initially, okay, this is called ecleed la. If the la has an initial position, I mean, if it comes initial position, it is called strong or a clear la, right? I mean, if it comes initially in a word or in a syllable, then it is a clear or a strong la. We mean by a clear or a strong la that it is alveolar. But when it comes in the middle of a word or a syllable, then it is what? A dark, then it is dark la. It is dark la, not a clear la. Okay. So now the situation is very clear. In either case, this is an allophone. This is an allophone of the phoneme la, because it doesn't change the meaning of the word. This is the slightly different pronunciation of the phoneme la. And if you remember, the unaspirated ka and ta and pa are different allophones for the same phonemes, ka, ta, and pa. In either case, they do not change the meaning of the word, okay? So now, the notion of an allophone is very clear. So once again, what is an allophone? Allophone is the slightly different pronunciation of the same phoneme. Okay, in the word but, in the word what, if you say but, you will notice that when you articulate, produce the sound ta, it's not alveolar. It looks like the ta sound in Arabic when I say but, okay? Try to say what, I don't say what, it's what, right? So whether it is ta or ta, it has the same phoneme, which is ta. But in Arabic, the situation is different because we have ta sound, and we have ta sound. I say but, I don't say but, I say what, I don't say what. So, but if you lengthen this, this will become ta, I would say. My friend says, okay, Mustafa, I'm sorry I broke your car. What? Another example, I explained the lesson several times, but he still can't understand. But, because I lengthen this, so it becomes ta. Whether it is ta or ta or ta, it has the same phoneme that is ta, okay? I hope that you understand these important phonological. Okay, and now we move to the other important aspect, spelling and pronunciation. Okay, some major issues should be discussed regarding or related to spelling and pronunciation. You know that English is a regular language because there is no one-to-one correspondence between what is pronounced and what is written, okay? Here are some examples to illustrate this. If we write the word no, listen, and write. Right, okay. No, listen, write. I think all the students are acquainted with this. Even baby Yamin knows these phonological facts, that the na is silent, the ta is silent, and the wa is silent. Because this is no, listen, and write. What about the other words? The other words, okay? See them? Bank, okay, bing, okay, bang, bang, okay, mosque, okay, so we have bank, we have bing, and bang, mosque, and pencil. Pencil. Of course, the place of articulation is very important to determine whether the na letter is pronounced or not. Is it pronounced or not? Pronounced or not? Okay, and so on. Try to say the word bank several times rapidly. Bank, 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 bank. Does the tip of my tongue touch the alveolar ridge during the production of the word bank? Bank, bank, bank. Of course it doesn't. So the na is silent here, so the word is like this. Bank, bank, bank. Okay? So this is velar and velar sound. The na is silent here. Bing. Imagine we have the word bing, bing. So we have the same. Bing, 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 bang. We have the word bang. Don't say bang, bang. Okay? So it's like this. Bang, bang. So the na is silent. And the ga is not pronounced. So the na and ga are turned into ng. This is velum and nasal, and this is voice, bang. You have the other word, mosque. Mosque. Because mosque, the K is very clear here, mosque, or mosque in American English. The word, when I say pencil, 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 you feel that the tip of your tongue touches the alveolar ridge, so in the transcription the sound is there. Pencil, pencil, this is syllabic, pencil, pencil, but here, okay, the word bank, I don't say bank, bank, so the na is silent, and the word bang, the na is silent, or the na and ga are assimilated into ing, and so on. But try to see the other word, which is finger. Finger, we have na and ga and e and ra. Okay, there is complete stop, so the air is completely stop at this syllable. Finger. So it is like this. Finger. So remember, in American English, this is finger. Remember the retroflex, finger, right? Or finger in British English. So nasal. And then we move to the velar and stop sound. This complete stop, suddenly the air is released. Finger. So these aspects should be taken into consideration. The other word is cupboard. Do I read it as cupboard or cupboard? So this word is a compound one, and it consists of two syllables. It's like this. Cupboard or cupboard. 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 So we have something called internal assimilation. So remember, this sound is silent. It's not pronounced at all, right? So hopefully you understand these important phonetic features. And now we move to another important aspect, which is flap, trill, and a retroflex. What is a flap? Someone may ask, what is a flap? Okay, in phonetics, a consonant sound is produced by a single quick flip of the tongue against the upper part of the mouth. When I say the upper part of the mouth, I mean the area behind the alveolar ridge or the beginning of the hard palate. Try to say the word pero, bright. Brown. You will find that the tip of your tongue goes back to touch the area in the hard palate that is the beginning of the hard palate. So once again, this is a flap. Flap. You will find that the tip of the tongue goes back a little to touch the beginning of the hard palate, and the word Bureau and brown. It's not a brown, it's a brown, okay? And this can be trill, brown. This can be trill. Some, okay, people do not differentiate between a flap and the trill, but the point is that a trill sound, there is rapid movements of the tongue, maybe 3 or 4 vibrations, okay? So a trill, what is a trill? A trill is similar to flap, but the only difference is that the tip of the tongue goes back and, okay, it vibrates rapidly. I try to say the word irregular, okay? Irregular. So the sound keeps moving, okay, trill. So once again, what is a trill? A trill is a consonant sound produced by vibrations between the active articulator and the passive articulator. Someone may ask, what is a passive articulator? A passive articulator could be the area next to the alveolar ridge or the hard palate because it doesn't move. And the active articulator is either the blade of the tongue or the tip of the tongue, okay? Okay, so this is a trill sound. So there are lots of vibration. They are consequent vibrations, maybe up to 5 or 7 vibrations, because there is a rapid movement of the tongue. And remember, the ra is always followed by a vowel because it requires a rapid movement of the tongue to the next vowel. Okay, so the ra is not followed by a consonant. Okay, and now the last one is retroflex. Okay, what is a retroflex? And this is Latin word, by the way, retroflex. A retroflex, you will find that the tip of the tongue is scaled back to touch the area next to the alveolar ridge, mainly the hard palate, okay, or the end of the hard palate. I try to say, teacher, doctor, ladder. You will find the back of the, sorry, you will find that the tip of the tongue is scaled back to touch the end of the hard palate. That's why we call it retroflex. Flex in front of the flexible, and retro means back, and so on. Okay, another important point concerning the wa sound. The wa sound, which is a semi-vowel, and it can be glide. It can be bilabial. When I say was, we, the two lips move. But if you want to be much more accurate about the wa sound, so to say, ew, you will find that the back of the tongue is raised to touch the beginning of the velum. That's why we call this labiovelar. Labiovelar sound. So a labiovelar sound, which is the wa, is produced when the two lips slightly move or make a slight movement, and when the back of the tongue is raised to touch the beginning of the velum or the soft palate. That's why we call it a labiovelar sound. And remember, this is a semi-vowel sound that must be followed by a vowel. Remember this. Boya and wa and ra are always followed by vowels. That's why we call them a glide. A glide means a rapid movement of the tongue towards the next sound that is a vowel sound. Okay, this is all about today's class or today's lesson, and thank you so much for joining me. I am teacher Mustapha Abu Taha.